34,000 feet over New Mexico. A 737 glides through clear sky until two F-22s lock on tight. Wingtips near the glass. In seat 14A, a woman doesn't stir. No phone. Just her pen on a crossword. Then the cockpit door opens. The captain pulls her forward, links a secure line to the lead Raptor. One question cuts through the headset. Confirm your call sign. Her reply freezes the room and sets off a chain that ends in the most dangerous test flight of her life. Before we begin, tell us where are you watching from, and if you believe honor and courage still matter, help keep their legacy alive. At 34,000 feet, Flight 2184 carved a line across New Mexico's sky. The desert below stretched flat and pale, broken only by ridges. Inside the cabin, people leaned into ordinary routines until shadows slid across glass. An F-22 Raptor eased up on the starboard wing, close enough for sunlight to flicker off rivets. A second Raptor matched on port. Perfect mirror, silent steel bracket. Phones rose. Passengers gasped, pressing hard to windows. A boy in row 13 squealed and pointed with both hands. In seat 14A, Nora Ellison kept her eyes on a crossword. Blue ink filled neat squares, hair pulled tight at the nape. Her jacket was plain navy, the kind meant to vanish in a crowd. Paige Morales, senior attendant, moved fast down the aisle. "Stay seated, please," she whispered, smile fixed. The hum of chatter grew louder, restless as static. The man in 14C leaned toward her. "Top Gun out there," he said. "You must know them." "Who are you?" Nora answered without looking up. "Just finding 14 across." Engines droned steady, but the cabin felt brittle. Every face turned outward, pressed to glass. No one saw her hand flex once. Old ache in the shoulder joint. 15 years earlier, flash of heat. Warning tone screaming. Cockpit haze. Systems gone dark. She pulled the ejection handle and the world detonated. A canopy blast, body flung into high blue. Shoulder crushed against wind. Glass cut across her brow. She woke in desert sand. Bones fractured. Career grounded. Since then, Santa Fe. Small apartment. Avionics work on civilian craft. Invisible by choice. Hidden by scar and metal joint. Now two Raptors clung to a 737 like guardians. The symmetry was flawless. Corrections subtle. Pilots unseen behind tinted canopies. Passengers buzzed with excitement. But Nora rode on. The PA clicked alive. Captain Eric Dalton's voice cut through. "Passenger in seat 14A, please press your call button." Silence locked the aisle. Nora pressed the button without hesitation. 3 seconds later, Paige was there. "Captain requests you at the cockpit," she said quietly. Whispers flared behind. Fragments of speculation. Nora rose, tucked her pen into the crossword, and walked forward. The aisle stretched longer than usual. Passengers moved aside, heads turning. At the open cockpit, Dalton gestured her in. First Officer Noah Patel didn't glance up. His eyes stayed glued to the radio panel, fingers near switches. Dalton passed her a secure headset, jaw tight. Static hissed, then cleared. "Passenger Ellison, authentication Sable 4 Delta 1. The voice was clipped, unmistakably military. "Copy 5 by 5. Nora replied. A pause hung, longer than protocol allowed. "Confirm call sign and last duty station." Her grip tightened on the armrest. Words unused for years returned sharp. "Ghost. Edwards flight test. Avionics integration F-22. Dalton froze. Patel blinked. The radio voice warmed, edged with respect. "Ghost. Honor to have you. Code black. Prepare diversion. Engines pulled power back." Flight 2184 banked left into desert sky. Both Raptors slid tighter, wingtips precise, shadows moving across windows. Seatbelt signs chimed. Paige walked the aisle again. Calm words for frightened passengers. Her hand shook once, hidden by the tray she carried. The descent was steady, desert floor swelling up fast. Roswell International appeared no terminal, only remote stand. Ground crew waited under harsh sun. Touchdown jolted once, brakes firm. Above, Raptors broke formation into wide arcs, circling. The cabin stayed hushed, voices low. Warm desert air rushed through the forward exit. A Black Hawk idled nearby, rotors tearing heat. Its paint was dull. No markings. A woman in duty blues approached. "Salute crisp. Staff Sergeant Aaron Vale," she said. She held out a sealed helmet bag and folded flight suit. "Colonel Harkness requests immediate transport to Holloman." Her tone left no space for questions. Nora took the gear, fabric familiar in her hands. They gave her a converted storage office. Quick movements zip, buckle, boots on concrete. In the mirror, scar traced faint along her hairline. No pause. She stepped back into light, wind tugging at her sleeves. Vale guided her under the churning blades. The Black Hawk's downwash thundered. Crew chiefs pulled her in, straps cinched, headset pressed over her ears. The helicopter lifted near vertical. Runways shrank. Desert lines blurred. White sands shimmered on the horizon, stark and endless. Inside, Nora sat silent. The folded drawing pressed against her chest. Old scars burned faint, metal in her shoulder humming with memory. The secret name returned ghost was airborne again. Concrete walls swallowed the sound as the elevator dropped. Nora stepped out into a hallway lit white and cold. Steel doors sealed behind her with a lock that echoed in her ribs. Inside the skiff, white noise filled every corner. A table sat under floodlights, papers neat, screens humming. 4 figures waited without small talk. Colonel Drew Harkness wore a flight jacket, rank square on his chest. Doctor, Colin Avery adjusted thin-rimmed glasses, a stack of tablets beside him. Lieutenant, Colonel. Jenna Pike leaned forward, patches crowding her sleeve. Captain Tessa Cho stood tall, arms folded, her stance alert. Harkness gave names, nothing more. Then he pushed a folder across. 13 Raptors, he said. All above 33,000, all blind under active radar. No crashes, but every pilot shaken. Avery tapped a control. The wall lit with jagged traces. Not random noise, but slices perfect. Timed, surgical, not brute jamming. Avery explained. Cuts matched to F-22 internal cycles. They know our rhythm. His voice had no rise, only weight. Pike pulled up cockpit footage. Symbology drifted. Targets sliding wide. Backups kept them alive. Another half beat. They'd be gone. Nora's jaw set. Who accessed fusion modules in the last 18 months? The question landed like a blade. Technicians pulled logs. Filters stacked downloads. After-hours entries. Maintenance signatures. Each cross-check tightened the net. Travel patterns appeared. Dozens of names. Most routine. One didn't fade. Doctor. Michael Kessler. Senior engineer. Apex Dynamics. Credentials at odd hours. Midnight sessions marked read-only. Financials followed. 6 deposits in 6 months. Just under reporting thresholds. Structured. Careful. Designed not to trip alarms. Travel slips stacked with the numbers. Caribbean flights aligned with reported anomalies. The screen built its own accusation. Nora knew the name. Years ago, she'd cited a memo he co-authored. The recognition hit sharp, like betrayal. Avery opened his file. At that second, the room shifted. NORAD uplinks flared, spikes climbing in clean towers, every display filled with bars rising in sync. Telemetry counters snapped red. It felt like the room itself had been tapped. "They're watching our query," Pike whispered. The air turned heavy. Everyone still. Harkness broke it. Cut all externals. Now. Ports dropped dark one by one. Locks groaned deeper into steel. Only hardline remained, humming inside the bunker. Screens fell to internal feed. The silence felt like armor. Then a map rolled out across the wall. Sydney, Portsmouth, Brest, all flagged the same way. A British Typhoon, blind over the North Sea. A French Rafale lost track mid-carrier sortie. An Australian wedgetail dark for 40 seconds. Each carried the same signature. 5 chirps repeating low in the waveform. A watermark, not erased, not hidden. Avery's voice stayed thin. They're not probing one nation. They're rehearsing for all. The weight of it pressed into the table. Harkness asked for money trails. Shell firms layered across continents. Payments bought commercial transponder time over the Gulf. Not military satellites. Cheap buses with modified payloads. Perfect cover for precise knives. The colonel's eyes narrowed. They're mapping skies before war. No one disagreed. A timer appeared in the corner. Red digits, 18 minutes. The next rehearsal had already cued. Nora stared at the countdown. No more simulations. Countermeasure needs a pilot. Her voice was steady, not loud. Harkness nodded once. You take the lead. Cho stays in chase. Orders written without ink. The white noise hummed higher. The watermark pulsed on every display. The clock ate down, second by second. Ghost had been silent for 15 years. Now the sky was calling her back, and this time, the enemy was already listening. The debrief room glowed with tired screens. Logs scrolled line by line, every anomaly frozen in time. The hostile curve bent low, proof the countermeasure held. Colonel Harkness pressed his palms to the table. Efficacy rose each minute, he said. It bought us margin, but margin isn't safety. Analysts nodded, eyes still fixed on numbers. Every run was dissected, checked twice, filed into doctrine. No celebration, only work. An aide stepped in, voice clipped. FBI confirms contact. The room stilled. Details came fast. Doctor, Michael Kessler was taken at a safe house in Cozumel. 3 partners with him, pulled down before dawn. Agents hit the door hard. Screens still glowed, code spilling across lines. 2 laptops ran hot, fans screaming when power was cut. Inside financial maps, shell accounts, leased satellites. Every purchase traced back to cutouts. Polished clean. Now the trail ran cold in one direction and open in another. Avery stared at the feed. He wrote our memos, he muttered, and wrote their keys. Pike zoomed into a waveform on the wall. The same 5 chirps repeated low, carved into noise. A watermark, subtle and deliberate. Not cover, she said. Not an accident. This is a brand. No one argued. Nora watched the pattern pulse. It felt less like a signal than a taunt. Her scar ached faint, memory humming against bone. Later, on the ramp, Noah Patel found her. He hesitated, helmet in hand, voice quiet. I was wrong to doubt you. She gave a single nod. No lecture, no story. He stepped away. Words left hanging in the desert wind. Harkness joined her near the hangar doors. Santa Fe waits. Silence. Mountains. The easy life. His eyes were tired but steady. Nora touched her pocket, paper pressing against her chest. The boy's drawing. Pencil lines smudged. Still there. She looked back at the colonel. Ghost isn't finished, she said. Her tone was simple, not dramatic. Harkness nodded, already expecting it. Night dropped over Holloman. Floodlights carved white pools across concrete. Engines grumbled as a pair of Raptors taxied out. The lead jet paused at the corner. A wing lifted, subtle, like a nod. Then both roared into the dark sky. No cameras caught it. No applause followed. Only noise fading into desert silence. Inside operations, analysts kept pulling threads, waveforms stacked, watermark logged, times coded. The 5 chirps pulsed like a signature that would return. Nora lingered on the ramp. The wind pressed hot against her sleeves. Her shoulder throbbed, titanium remembering impact long past. She thought of the boy's wide eyes on the plane, of a sketch passed from one hand to another, of skies that had to stay safe for his generation. The lights of the base flickered once. Engines trembled far out on the runway. Work had already begun again. Nora turned toward the hangar doors. The folded paper pressed close to her ribs. She carried it inside, steady as her steps. Ghost had come back to the sky. And the fight was only at its beginning. The watermark hummed in silence, waiting for another night. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating with courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.